Welcome back to the channel. My name is Weekly Xonin, and we have another Platinum in review. I could not get my review out for episode 17 last week. Recorded it. Was so hyped to edit because it was such an easy recording, and it turns out my PC no longer takes cinematic view for whatever reason. I have to record in regular video now until I figure that thing out. So it's okay. It's a hit that I can take for now, as long as I can still upload, you know. But yeah, just to give you a reason why. No excuses. But just to recap some thoughts I had last episode that may or may not come into play in the future, or that have already come into play for this episode. The idea of Shuji being an edgelord, that Tamari calls him in this episode, I'm okay with that. I don't mind him not being the next L. I may mind him being the next god, but I don't have a problem with that. I like the way that his character's turning out. He seems like a real kid who's in denial, who needs to kind of be rehabilitated in a way, because you have some really dark thoughts on life. The idea of Minawi Kawa being a god candidate, not a god candidate, actually, like the double twist there, I really liked a lot, especially since he was still useful, even though he's not a god candidate. You know, he was the reason last episode why they got through to Shuji. I speculated last week that the phone given to Susumu would, have to be more than a phone. Like, there's no reason to focus on it if it's just going to be used. And I thought, hey, maybe it's going to be used in like a trap. Yeah, Yoneda, I thought he would like capture Susumu or something like that, and then that would be used to call everyone to his location, and then it'd be an ambush. Like, there has to be a reason for the phone. No, we see this episode, it's just a communication device because they don't trust the boy with a white arrow. Understandably, but I also like how much Susumu was cooperative. You know, he did play that little game of like, I have to test if you're really red first, but that was quick. You know, he was just really just trying to see who he was. It seems that was really genuine. It wasn't him kind of snapping. So I like the place that the whole crew is in, and oh yeah, I also talked about how Tamari would have to kind of prove herself to the crew. I didn't put two and two together that they had two people on the inside that was going to help her escape anyway. But last week, what I thought was, well, she's talking about having to get out of the situation, so it seems like they just told her the plan, and they were just like, you figure this shit out, and then we'll help you out or something like that. Or like, if you can escape, we'll give you something. And she received wings after that. But just the idea of like, well, if she can escape on her own, then she's gonna be a viable fighter. If she gets wings, she's gonna be a viable fighter. Like, it depended on her escape. But she has two people on the inside, like I just said. So it was really easy. Although she didn't really need them. I think that's something she could have easily done by herself. Just shoot, play dead. Guards come in, shoot them with red arrows. Use a guard as a decoy to get out. She didn't have wings, so she probably have to keep hitting guards to get her out of there. So like the escape once she's gotten out of the building would be a little more difficult. But if she could use a decoy to divert eyes one way and find a way, then at least she could have gotten out of the building by herself, is what I'm saying. I'm already backtracking, but because I'm realizing, hey, maybe this is a place in the middle of the woods. They would be smarter than to keep her near a bus stop or something like that. But yeah, either way, she links with the crew, gets rewarded with her wings, and then everyone heads back to the hideout, except for Susumu, because they don't trust him with the white arrow. And I only put this together while writing this script, that the reason why he has a white arrow is because he controlled Kanade. I didn't realize that at all. Like, I knew that there were only 3 S-tier candidates or whatever in play, but for some reason I think my mind assumed that he got promoted, or someone got promoted, or there were 4 suddenly. I didn't realize that the only reason he has a white arrow is because he was controlling Kanade when Kanade died. And so I'm the least observant reviewer, it seems, but neither here nor there. We're not here to unpack that right now. Now that everyone's gathered up, it's time to decide who's gonna be God. And Shuji steps up as volunteer, and I just can't. Look at his resolve. Look at how much resolve he has. He's like Sasuke when Sasuke was like, I'm gonna be Hokage. It's like, I don't know, but maybe, I guess. And they decide on maybe you. The reason why, it's like he asks Ogado, like, hey, who is God? We keep talking about God, but like, tell us more about him, Dad. And Ogado tells him more about the selection process. And as a viewer, I think we shouldn't be surprised by this. I don't think even the candidates should be surprised by anything being told to them, because, yeah, of course God can't exist in the same realm. Of course God can wipe the memories of this whole process. And of course God can decide who stays equipped with arrows at the end of this. Like, we got Mesa a few episodes ago telling us that God can just make humans into angels. But yeah, the whole scene is just people being surprised by things they should not be surprised as. Even Shuji telling Mirai here, like, hey, if you have so many objections to my world ideals, you become God. And he's like, oh God, I never thought of that. It's like, the whole whatever. Yeah, I think the only surprising thing to me was just how well Susumu was cooperating with the gang, and how easily he was willing to go from Mirai to Shuji without even meeting him. I don't think they've talked at all, which is like an interaction I would like to see. But I think because they're opposites. Like, one is like a kid, happy-go-lucky kid who's denying his darkness. The other one is the dark-ass kid, edgelord, who is denying the happiness inside of him, like the kid inside of him. So he's like, they both need to be rehabilitated, but in the opposite ways. Side note. But I guess the only surprising thing, was just Susumu being like, let's put it up to a vote. You know, being very reasonable. And I don't know. I guess there's like two surprising things that came out of this for me specifically, which is that, you know, Ogata's the angel of darkness, so obviously she knows more than she lets on. She's hiding some dark secret not necessarily because she's evil secretly, but just because her introduction was the angel from the dark side of heaven, which means she knows way different shit than is being led on by any of the other angels, especially what we got from Revel, that, you know, we can't reveal that part yet. Remember, we got that line from him. Whatever the secret is that she's keeping is obviously something that the previous god, or I guess the current god, is wants to hold really, really close to the chest. He has decided, if you reveal this part, you will be demoted out of the race. Like, you don't get demoted as an angel from second to first. You will no longer be in the race, and your candidate will die. So yeah, obviously this rule is something that's meant to be protected, and it's very important that the meaning behind, you know, the selection process is protected until, I guess, the very end or something like that. And it's confirmed by Muni just after. You know, we get the introduction of Yoneda and Muni, and they make a great pair. I like them together. I think in terms of ideological battles, like, you know, the last people to test Mirai's resolve, they're the perfect people to do it, because this is a god of destruction with a mad scientist who already kind of knows what the darkness behind the process is. So for him to challenge Mirai in the way that, you know, a scientist should, you know, it's just like test your hypothesis, poke holes in your theory. I think it's a great final villain for them, even if he's not the villain, because he doesn't seem like too much of a villain this episode. He just seems like a dude who already has it figured out and just happens to have the angel of destruction next to him because, you know, it makes sense. So I think I like them a lot this episode, but like, even with the first interaction that they have is him being distant, playing his cards close, deciding to send Muni over there and go, this is a trial. Depending on your answer, you get to move forward to the next step, type of thing. And that's pretty cool. I think there has to be some hidden meaning there that, you know, he's obviously playing it in a way that he knows better, right? I think that is going to come into play later on, with just like, there's going to be like one final question from God to Mirai at the end of it, of just like, what do you think of this? And then based off of that, he'll be like, you were the right candidate to choose, you know? Something like that. Maybe it has to do with like, hey, actually God doesn't die if you choose the right candidate. Something weird, something like that. But yeah, as for the hidden meaning behind the selection, it kind of brings me back to one of the earlier reviews that I did. I just suggested that we couldn't trust angels, and that had no merit. That was all based off of Nase's eyes being red instead of like a yellowish, or it was like these angels seem evil instead of, you know, good. Especially since she's the angel of purity, and it's so easy to be like, just kill yourself, kill the other people, do whatever the hell it is that you want. So it was so suspicious back in the day, but, you know, again, held no merit. But it may now, because we already recognize the angels as contenders in the race as well. Like, they're picking candidates to become God because they want to win, not because they feel like this is right, you know? So, I mean, the first thing I'll assume two things here. And the first will be that there's a greater reward for them. Don't know what it will be, but there's a greater reward for the angel who wins. And the second thing might go hand in hand with the first, but I think whatever specialty an angel has determines what kind of world the candidate creates. And the reason I think it goes hand in hand is because these angels could have their own vision of the world. You know, that'll be their specialty. You know, that's what they get throughout just honing their own thoughts as angels. Maybe they all start off with nothing, and then however it is that they start out, I think their title means a lot towards what they view the world as, or how they view the world. And that's the reason why they choose the candidates that they do, because you have Angel of Destruction choosing a scientist whose whole job is to deconstruct shit. Ogaro, Angel of Darkness, choosing Edgelord. Purity, choosing Mirai. It's like there's a reason why they choose their candidates, not just because they want to win. They're choosing people who line up with what they think. This is where the spin foil comes into play, and I don't know how many selections there have been, because Ogaro just said that we can wipe the memory after the selection process anyway. But what Mesa introduces to, remember Mesa? What Mesa introduces to is the idea of turning a human into an angel. So we can turn humans into gods, we can turn humans into angels. And she seemed really bummed out by Kanade losing. Rightfully so, I guess. Like, you put your faith into this one person, they seem to have so much promise, they do all the right things, and then they still get fucking Swiss cheesed at the end of it. So, whatever. And Ogaro seems pretty hyped now that Shuji's chosen. It's not hype of oh wow, like I'm happy for him, like what Nase is. It's hype of there's an evil smirk there that, what's his name? Yazeli? I think Yazeli notices, and it's supposed to signify there's more that Ogaro lets on, and there's a dark secret here. So I don't know why the other angels wouldn't know. It would make sense if the Angel of Darkness is the one who knows about the dark part of the process, and destruction, would make sense, I guess, as well, because they call destruction inevitable. So maybe these two angels are special in that regard, where they're a little bit closer to God or closer to the selection process. That has to be explained, though. Aside from that point, though, I think that just kind of gives way for the idea of, hey, angels can become, or humans can become angels, and angels can become part of the selection process. So does that mean that these angels can just be previous God candidates who lost, and they're like, oh, I have a second chance here. I'm going to choose someone who's exactly like me, so that even if, they win, I didn't win, but I technically won. And that just goes hand in hand with, like, whatever angel wins, the world is kind of shaped by that angel's power, is what I mean there. It's like the Holy Grail War Part 2, like when Fate Stay Night comes in, and it's like, oh, look, we have some previous Holy Grail candidates here, or servants, sorry. So, like, they get to participate again and try to win again. It's like, I see it kind of that way. But that's all I really got for, like, the theory section of it. And I don't know what the hell that would mean for anything, right? So, yeah, cool. Like, Ogato's a previous candidate. All of these people are previous candidates. Cool, man. What does that mean for the finale, though? You have Mooney, the Angel of Destruction. I guess a person who's revealed as revered as God, right? Mooney could be an ancient person, a person from back in the day, from like the first selection process, because we don't really know how many there've been, right? So she could have been an angel from the first selection process who has stories written about them, right? Like, hey, like Mooney's like Ifrit in the real world or some shit like that, and so for them to participate in this race is like, oh God, like they can actually become the god of whatever, yada yada yada. You know what I'm trying to get at there. So that's like the most weight I think it can have, as the theories, as this little spin foil theory is now. At the end of the day, it's all going to come down to a trial of, like, why do you think the way that you do? Cool. Like, maybe there's like a second step to it. Like, sure, you can choose someone who's just like you. Like, I'm speaking as God now because God complex. But let's say this God decided, okay, I know that you're all previous candidates, right? Choose whoever the hell you want to win, but make sure that if they win or if they're chosen, you have to make sure that they're not influenced by you. Like, you can choose someone who's just like you, but they're choosing it of their own free will. Something like that. There has to be like some final question or like final test that needs to be passed for them to actually win. And, maybe the key there is keeping them ignorant to that. If you tell them the dark part of the process and, like, actually we chose you because we like you, we agree with you, maybe that influences them the wrong way, and then it causes manipulation, right? Because Mesa was already like, I can give you whatever you want. If you want to bring your sister back, cool. You know, like, and Balta, who was just the angel of intuition, he really played it close. He didn't, you know, he made sure not to influence at all. It was just like, I'm gonna do whatever it is you want to do. We're gonna, whatever you want to. I'm not gonna at all, you know, influence your mind here. I'm just gonna let you play it out the way that you want to play it out. And I think Balta ended up working with someone else. It wasn't Mesa though. They ended up working with someone else. I forget what the hell it was, but I remember thinking in the beginning, like, Balta's got to be working with someone. And then turns out he was working with someone. But yeah, that's all I've really got. You know, hopefully this little theory, this rant here was coherent and comes into play in the future. But yeah, just goes to show I'm really invested. I can't wait to see the type of questions Yoneda asks Mirai. Whether it's as a villain, as an ally, as someone who's testing, you know, just want to know what comes of that. And what Ogaro means by the destruction is inevitable. You know, does that mean that knowing about the existence of God in this show, or the existence of angels or superhumans, is sure to bring destruction to them? Or that, you know, since the angel of destruction is participating in this Holy Grail war, that means that destruction is guaranteed, darkness is guaranteed, purity is guaranteed. Like every angel who participates, who's chosen by God, maybe there's angels of different, you know, rankings elsewhere, but, you know, the God for this selection process chose these 13 specifically, because he was like, I want to see these 13 specifically go battle against each other and see which ideal wins. Don't know. Again, I'm already going back into another tangent. It's been good. My name is Weekly Xonin. I will see you Sunday for Big 3 reviews, and, you know, I'll see you next week for Platinum Men. So, bye.